Hey, how's it going? James here, and I'm doing a response to Do You Nerd, the wonderful Tom and Lacey. This was, oh gosh, a couple months ago, I think January. I said that I would, well, the original started as like a tag tweet, um, 3 games that you wouldn't want to give up, something along those lines. And I said, oh, well, I could just list 3 games here, but that doesn't really give any context as to why they're influential to me and my childhood growing up. So I thought, okay, well, instead of just putting it in Twitter, I'll do a video response to you guys. And, time makes fools of us all because here we are, the end of March, almost April, and I'm just getting to this now. But nonetheless, here it is. I'm actually kind of glad that I didn't jump on this right away because there is games that I would think, oh, okay, this, and this, and then no, take this one to replace with this. Like, no. Is that these are ones that I wouldn't want to give up. They're nostalgic to me in my childhood and adolescence growing up, and defined who I am now in terms of the gaming space of what I like. But that doesn't mean that I can't necessarily buy them again. I mean, if hard times come and I need to pay bills, absolutely everything behind me is up for sale. There's no question about that. I'm not going into debt and letting bills stack up and leave money sitting on the wall. But these are ones that I wouldn't necessarily want to give up, no matter how easy or difficult it would be for me to get them again in the future. Anyways, I will do 2 honorable mentions, and then I'll do my actual 3 that I landed on. So the first honorable mention, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Yes, I love this enough that I actually framed a copy, and it sits above my workstation right beside me here. Every time I sit down to type, I look up and I can see it, and it just brings back such great memories of this. This copy I remember getting actually from Chicago when I was on sort of like my father was working, and my mother and I tagged along, and did the hotel thing while he did his work routine that he needed when he was out and about doing different service calls and shows and that kind of thing. So as this one here, I do remember buying from Chicago. It was a Target. And it was such a tease because I remember looking at this and then seeing the back of the box, or, well, jewel case in this case. It looked great, but internet was still pretty in its infancy. I don't remember having any kind of device that I could have connected to at the hotel to even look anything up on this. I just sort of went on a whim, like, you know what, this looks friggin' cool. 3-on-3 battle, like tag team battle, I gotta give this a whirl. And it did not disappoint. This became easily my favorite fighter of all time. All time. Yes, mad respect for what Mortal Kombat did for the genre, Street Fighter, of course, many others. This was just tops for me. I had an immense amount of fun unlocking all the characters, the different mix mash of heroes and villains. So much fun. So undeniably, this is my top choice for a fighter ever, but it didn't totally define what I did in the gaming sphere more than the other ones that I got below me here. But still, definitely a fantastic game. Alrighty, next up for honorable mention. Those of you that have been watching me for a while know that I love the Neo Geo. And yeah, Metal Slug. I put a ton of quarters into this back in my youth. Did I get very far? No, because this thing was made to eat money. Absolutely just munch through money. It still doesn't take away that it's insanely fun, though. Great run and gun shooter. There's other great ones such as Contra. Those are obviously big in my gaming space as well. But I just have a love for the Neo Geo and in the graphics and the way that the games were made on that platform. And the Metal Slug series is definitely my top pick. I'd love to get more of these. I have 1 and 2. Sadly, they have gone up stupidly in price. I don't know if I will be able to afford the whole set, but maybe one day I'll collect them all. But nonetheless, this was definitely one that I could not go without mentioning. The whole Metal Slug series, not just the original. Alrighty, on to the actual 3. Try and get this big board here done first. Oh goodness, here we go. Now you won't be able to tell just from me holding this on camera, but this is the 1989 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade. So much fun. Let's see, beyond the Konami logo there, you know, that's kind of the mark of the board, and a absolutely fantastic Tupperware label, which the prior seller put the name of the board and 2-player to indicate that this is the 2-player ROM version. So I can put this in a 2-player cab, which is what I have, and you can select the turtle that you want versus it being delegated per the outlet of the 4-player Dynamo cabinet. So that's kind of a neat little factoid about this, that there is a 2-player version. I don't think that's too uncommon to be known of in the, with MAME and things being so prevalent. But it's pretty cool that they ended up doing this for, I would assume, arcade owners that just wanted to add the game to their setup, but they didn't necessarily want to buy the full-on Dynamo cabinet, whatnot. This was a good way that they could still have those operators buy the game and still, be able to utilize it in a 2-player cabinet. But anyways, for me, it blew my socks off when I saw this for the first time at Chuck E. Cheese. I played the Nintendo version numerous times, and I played this numerous times, and this always just, I knew that this was just a better game. Don't get me wrong, it's missing some levels that the NES had, which makes that version quite good too, to be honest. For a home port, it was pretty decent. But this looks and plays and sounds so much better. And as a kid, I didn't really put together what the deal was with that. And it was later on that I learned that the arcade hardware was significantly different than what you would get for the home console ports. So I knew at one point that I would eventually get this. And I bought this ages ago on eBay. I think it might have been between 20 and 23 is when I actually bought this. And I think it might have been around $100. And back then, that was considered pretty expensive for this. I know darn well that this thing is worth more than that now. But I would never want to give this up. It's got way too much nostalgia for me. I was a Turtles kid growing up, and to have the actual arcade classic, to play at home is great. Alright, don't fall. Next up here, Final Fantasy VII. I played RPGs before this. I didn't necessarily care for them. I was more into the run and gun, platformer, shooter, that kind of thing. I found RPGs surprisingly not that great. I don't want to say boring, it just didn't hit a nerve for me. Until this is what opened my eyes to the whole RPG genre. I played the absolute snot out of this when I got it. Literally the entirety. The extra characters, what was it, Sid and Yuffie off the top of my head. There was additional boss battles that were side quests. I did it all. I ended up getting the strategy guide for this and exploring every corner of the game that this had to offer. To the point that I ignored anything else that was out at the time. This was in my PlayStation, and the only reason a disc would leave would be to go on to disc 2 or disc 3. There was nothing else that existed at that time for me when this came out. Immense amount of fun. Yes, we got the remake. You know what? I'm going to refer back to this every time. This was just so much great fun for me. Being able to just come home from school, burn a few hours on this, and then just continually go on day after day after day, just being totally enthralled with this. And it opened up my eyes to a lot of other great RPG titles that I otherwise would not have paid attention to had I not actually played this through. And lastly, Duke Nukem 3D in this glorious PC box. I love PC boxes because they're just so big. It's like it's like when vinyl collectors, you look at it, it's like, I'm not a vinyl collector, but I can understand the appeal just for the artwork alone because you get such a big canvas for it. And this looks fantastic. I mean, this box actually always sits above me. It wouldn't be in frame in this particular shot, but in prior videos it would have been. It sits above the BioShock 2 Collector's Edition there. But, you know what, ignoring the point that it's a fantastic looking box, it's a great freaking game. It's undeniable that Doom definitely has way more respect in terms of popularizing the first-person shooter genre. I played Doom. I really enjoy Doom. I respect the heck out of it. It's great fun. But for me, as a 80s kid in my early adolescence in the 90s, this checked off every box that I was into. Violence, explosions, gunplay, cheesy one-liners from the action hero. This was just so much fun. It was so great. I mean, like I said, I played Doom before, and I loved Doom and Rise of the Triad and a couple others that I can think of. But this was just such an eye-opener for me as a youth. And when I was going through this, oddly enough, I still have the sales receipt from when I bought it. And I can tell you exactly where and when I bought this. And I actually did look it up before filming this video. This came out in 96. I don't know the exact date, but 96. I know that I played it at a friend's house. That's why I kind of wanted it for myself. I played it there numerous times, actually. So I ended up, at some point, going to the Yorkdale Shopping Center in Toronto. That was June 26, 1998. And at 2:20 p.m. that day, for a total cost with tax of $22.99 from CompuCenter, is where I obtained this copy. So it's cool to have the game in the box, but you know what? This is an even bigger throwback in nostalgia because I know exactly where and when I bought the stupid thing. But nonetheless, like I said, that's kind of just where I landed on this whole idea for the whole, most influential games, or the 3 most influential games, tag response, that kind of deal. You can feel free to do your own. I'm not sending it out to anybody because, like I said, this originally was a thing back in January, so gosh knows who has or who hasn't done it. Or even then, just share what games you really had as a defining moment of your childhood, youth, growing up in the comment section. I reminisce a little bit that way too. Anyways, hopefully, oh, there we go. Of course the phone has to interrupt. Anyways, hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.